Hi everyone and welcome. So I am currently reorganizing my bookshelves and I am also taking you along with that journey. So there's either already a video up or it's still coming. But I thought while I was taking all of these books off my shelves, it might be a good idea to finally film my physical TBR. So these are going to be all the books that I have on my shelves that I still plan to read but haven't yet. Now we are going to film this in batches because I think that I might have close to 200 books on that physical TBR and I cannot film this in one go. So I have the first batch here right next to me. Without further ado, let's just get started. The first book is Rewrite the Storm by Devin Madsen. This is the first one in the trilogy, The Reborn Empire, and I think that this is about a war with an empire, a rebellion, and I think that there are also gods involved. That's basically all I know. For a lot of these, I knew more when I bought them, but it's been a while and now I don't really know a lot. The other one is the Lightbringer series by Brent Week, so the first book, The Black Prism, a book with a hard magic system often compared to Brandon Sanderson, and I think that the first one is the best one, and then it gets a little bit weird. Then we have The Invisible Library by Genevieve Cockman. This is a long series. I think that it's 6 books long. They are very short, and it's very different from what I normally read because this is a spy who lives as a librarian, I think, but she can go to multiple alternate universes, something like that. I don't know why I bought this one, to be honest. Maybe I will love it, but it seems like very much out of my comfort zone. Then we have The Ember Blade by Chris Wooding. This is the first one in a series, but you can read it as a standalone. A Brightness Long Ago by Guy Gabriel Kay, the author that I have been wanting to try a long time. A lot of people compare him to Robin Hobb, so I think that I'm going to love him, but still need to give him a try. The Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison, another standalone with a lot of political intrigue, although I do think that this has a companion sequel right now. Then we have The Sacred Hunt duology by Michelle West. Technically, I DNF'd the first book. I was 80 pages in, but I still want to give this one a try, so it's still on my TBR. Then we have The Wolf of Oren-Yaro by K.S. Villasso. This one I really want to try because this is the first one in the Chronicles of the Bitch Queen, and this one sounds like I will like it. Then we have The Warded Man by Peter V. Brett. So the first one in the Painted Man. So this is The Painted Man or The Warded Man. I think that in the US it has one title, in the UK another one. This is the first one in a series, The Demon Cycle. Yes, this sounds very cool. It reminded me a little bit of video games that I used to play when I was younger, but I haven't given it a try yet. This has similar reviews than The Black Prism, where the first one gets very good reviews and then it goes downhill. The Wolf by Leo Carew, the first one in a series. I don't know how long the series is going to be or how it is called. Some people love it, others don't, it seems. Then we have Green Rider by Kristen Britton. Again, the first one in a longer series, more traditional fantasy, but it has been compared to Robin Hobb, so I'm very hopeful. The Ranger of Marzana by John Scavron. This is a trilogy that is now concluded. It's called The Goddess War. We follow, I think, a brother and sister duo on different sides of the war. I think that the brother is a very powerful mage and the sister is a warrior. This one does not get the best reviews on Goodreads, but it sounds extremely cool and it has a nice cover, so I'm sold. And then Legacy of Ash by Matthew Ward. This, I think, was on my 3-star prediction video where it's like, I don't really think that I'm going to like it, but let's give it a try. It's absolutely humongous, but I do know that a lot of people have told me since then that it's amazing, so who knows. Then River in Darkness by Sean Russell. Don't know anything about this. I think that this is actually a duology bind-up, but it sounded cool when I first heard of it, so I decided to buy it, and now I don't really know what it's about, but I think that this is older fantasy. So I wanted to try some older fantasy, and now I have these, and I haven't tried them yet. The Wolf's Call by Anthony Ryan. This is a Raven's Blade novel, so it comes after the Raven's Shadow trilogy, and I still need to finish the Raven's Shadow, so there's that. Then we have some shorter books, so The Last Unicorn, which I recently hauled, Stardust, which I recently hauled, and I'm going to read Stardust this month, so at least it's going to be read very soon. Then we have Bryony and Roses by T. Kingfisher. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. And then we have Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher, which I am going to read this month. So it's going to get off the physical TBR quite quickly. And then the last one for this batch, When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain by Nevo, which is again on my June TBR. So, by the way, if you see any books that I should prioritize, please let me know, but this is the first batch. Batch number 2. So first off, I have King's Dragon by Kate Elliott and Prince of Dogs by Kate Elliott, which is book 1 and 2 in her Crown of Stars series that I am going to start this year, which is why I have both of them. Then we have The Crystal Cave by Mary Stewart, which is a King Arthur retelling that I also want to read this year. It's the first one in a series, by the way. I don't think that I will be able to read it this year, but you never know. Then another trilogy, the Kingdom of Grit trilogy. This is the third book, The Last Lies of Arthur Ben. We're going to go in the opposite order. Then we have The Shattered Realm of Arthur Ben, which is the second book. And then The Thousand Deaths of Arthur Ben. They sounded really cool. I think that there's a dragon, there's a heist story. It sounds interesting. A Memory Called Empire, a recent purchase that I want to read this year. Dune Messiah, of course, the second book in the Dune series. Then The Stardust Thief, which is a new release and is on my June TBR. The first and the second book in the Sword of Shadows series, so A Cavern of Black Ice and A Fortress of Grey Ice. Again, a series that I want to start this year by J.V. Jones. A lot. Then we have The Children of Hurin by J.R.R. Tolkien. We also have the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, or book, if you want to call it one book. I have not read these yet. I also don't think that I ever will, to be honest. But I just keep them on my shelves because maybe, if it's a good audiobook, I might want to give it a try. Then we have The Book of Oscar Wilde by Patricia A. by Patricia A. McKillop, who is one of the authors that I really enjoy lately. And then we have some shorter books. The Haunting of Tramcar 015 by P. Jelly Clark. We have On Winter's Eve by C.D. Alexander, which I am going to read in winter. They Mostly Come Out at Night by Benedict Patrick, another one that I will be reading in winter. And The Drowning Eyes by Emily Foster. So these are just all novellas that I have that I hope to read somewhat soon. Then we have an entire Brandon Sanderson collection. So Wards of Radiance, I'm going to read this either this month or next month. I have this edition and then this one. This one was a gift, by the way, which is why I have two, otherwise I wouldn't. And I do know that that UK edition is definitely very difficult to get. Then we have Oathbringer, of course. And last but not least, from Brandon Sanderson, Rhythm of War. So I really like these US editions a lot more, by the way. And then an entire trilogy that I don't know if I'm ever going to read, to be honest, but for now, let's see. We have The Shadow of What Was Lost, The Light of All That Falls, and then An Echo of Things to Come. So this is the Lycanius trilogy. To be honest, I don't know. I've heard some very mixed things. People who absolutely love it, who said like Wheel of Time was not for me, but this is Wheel of Time that I can enjoy. Well, Wheel of Time was also not for me, so who knows. But then other people say that the writing style is atrocious, and I am quite sensitive to bad writing styles, so I don't know what I'm going to take. Then we have The Familiars by Tracy Hawes, which I think is more historical fiction, but I'm not quite sure. I think that this is perfect to read in fall, but that's just because of the cover. And then the fourth and the fifth book of the Song of the Shattered Sand series by Bradley P. Bolio, which I do want to finish this year, and 6 books in total. I have read the first 3, so now I need to get onto the fourth one, which I think is Beneath the Twisted Trees. So, batch number 2 is done. Of course, I just stepped on my microphone, so I do hope that this one also works. First of all, we have Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, so the first book of batch number 3. Then we have Son of the Storms by Suyi Davis Okunbowa, which is an African-inspired fantasy. The first one in a trilogy, if I'm not mistaken. Never Die by Rob J. Hayes. Really need to give this author a try. And it's a shorter fantasy, so I really don't have any excuse. Then we have The Splinter King, which is book 2. And The Black Ghost, which is book 1 of the God King Chronicles. And this is one that I want to read this year. These are the 2 that are currently out. Then we have an entire trilogy yet again. This is the Echoes of the Fall series by Adrian Tchaikovsky. So the first one is The Tiger and the Wolf. Then we have the second one, The Bear and the Serpent. And the third one is The Hyena and the Hawk. So this is a series that I've had on my TBR for a very long time. Tried the first one, I wasn't really in love. So I just need to give it another shot, I guess. Then we have The Poison Sun and the Bitter Twins. Poison Sun, not Sun. Bitter Twins, which is book 2 and 3 of the Winnowing Flame trilogy by Jen Williams. I read book 2 almost 2 years ago now, and I really enjoyed it, so I really need to get going with the rest of the series. Deerskin by Robin McKinley, a standalone that I need to try soon. Then, of course, we have Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler, so another sci-fi that I need to read. Dark Age by Pierce Brown, the last one in the I want to say First Law series, which is not the case, the Red Rising series. So again, one of the few sci-fi books on my TBR. Then an entire series almost. I still need to have the last book, I think, or I think it's a 5-book long series and I have the first 4. So we have The Name of All Things, which is the first one, I think, in this series. No, The Rune of Kings is the first one. Rune of Kings, Name of All Things, and then Memory of Souls. So this was a series that I wanted to try soon, but somehow I don't think that I will fit it in this year. So maybe next. And then we have Jade City and Jade War by Fonda Lee. This was another on my 3-star predictions video where I'm just not entirely sure that I'm going to love this series. It seems very action-packed, so I don't really know. Then we have The Darkness that comes before I actually have this entire trilogy, so you will see these other books soon on this video as well. Summer at Castle Auburn by Sharon Chin. I am going to read this one this month as a buddy read. Then we have House of Chains by Stephen Erickson. I'm currently reading the 3rd book and I also have the 4th one ready for I'm finished with that 3rd one. We have book 1, The Queen of Blood, and book 2, The Reluctant Queen of the Queens of Rentia trilogy by Sarah Beth Durst, which is an author that I quite enjoy, who has just very accessible fantasy. Then we have Kashiel's Avatar, the 3rd book and final book in the Vader trilogy, and Kashiel's Mercy, which is the final book in the trilogy after this trilogy. So I definitely need to buy the books in between as well. Then some George R. R. Martin that I haven't read. So Windhaven, this is the Dutch edition. I actually think that Lisa Tuttle has written the majority of this, but George R. R. Martin's name is also on it. And then the other book by George R. R. Martin that I haven't read yet, but this is on the July TBR, Fire and Blood. So, of course, in preparation of the TV show that we will be getting in August. Then some fantasy romance. First of all, we have Phoenix Unbound by Grace Draven. I started this last year in July, I think. I never finished it, but it was an okay book. And then we have Empire of Sand by Tasha Suri. This is actually one that I might DNF, because the more I think about it, I think that I really didn't like the love interest in this one, so maybe this is DNF. But then also Empire of Sand by Tasha Suri, which is the first in a duology that I'm definitely going to give a try. Then some traditional fantasy, again a new addition to the library, and that is Elric of Melnibone, the first one in the Elric saga, so volume 1, by of course Michael Moorcock. So I definitely want to give this more traditional fantasy also a try, especially because, if I'm not mistaken, Elric here is a big influence on the Witcher series, which I loved. Then we have Ninth House by Lee Bardugo, which I'm probably going to read around October. Almost done with the 3rd batch here. The Tensorot series by Neil Young. This is a series of 4 novellas where we take a look at non-binary or gender in general. And I think that all the people in this book are non-binary until a certain age when they can choose their gender. It's very interesting and I definitely want to give this a try. Then we have Electra by Jennifer Saint, which is a Greek myth retelling. And I've read Ariadne by this author last year and I did really enjoy it. So this one is on the soon TBR. And then the last one on the 3rd batch, and that is Hollow Empire by Sam Hawke, the second one in the Poison War novels, and I think that this is going to remain a duology. I like the first one, so I need to give the second one a try. This has been on multiple TBRs. So, batch 3 done. On to part 4. So, we are going to start with The Veiled Throne by Ken Liu, which is the 3rd book in the Dandelion Dynasty. I have read book 1 and 2 and absolutely loved. Then we have Hood by Stephen R. Lawhead. This is the 1st book in a Robin Hood, I think, trilogy that I wanted to read this year. We will see again. I have a lot of big plans at the beginning of the year. The Once and Future King by T.H. White, so the original or the most well-known, I think, King Arthur retelling. Sarah J. Maas's Crescent Cities 1st book, House of Blood and Earth. This one, I've heard great things about the 1st book, and then the 2nd one, not so great things. A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas, so the first book in the new series in the ACOTAR realm. And then, a lot of Juliette Marillier. A lot of people think that I have read all Juliette Marillier's works. It's definitely not true. So this is book 1 and 2, I think. So first one, The Harp of Kings, and then A Dance with Fate in the Warrior Bard novels. This is one of her newer series. I think that the last one in this trilogy came out last year. Still need to acquire that one. Then we have Dreamer's Pool, Tower of Thorns, and Den of Wolves, which is a complete trilogy. I don't know the Blackthorn and Grimm novels, which is one that I want to get to soon because I've heard a lot of great things. And then we have the second Seven Waters trilogy. So Flame of Seven Waters, Heir to Seven Waters, and Seer of Seven Waters. And I don't really know the right order of these, but I still need to read these because I read the original trilogy and really enjoyed it. Then another trilogy that I have into completion, and that is the Book of the Ancestor trilogy. So the first one is, I think, Red Sister, then we have Grey Sister, and then we have Holy Sister by Mark Lawrence. I'm currently almost done with his Prince of Thorns, so the Broken Empire series. When I'm done with that, I will try to read that one soon. And then we have the Prince of Nothing, Book 2 and 3. So I showed Book 1. I also have the Warrior Prophet and the Thousandfold Thought. And this is a series that I will be starting this month. Hopefully be reading one book per month, so I can finish this one somewhat soon. Mercedes Lackey's The Black Swan, which is a Swan Lake retelling. Yes, I knew that it was in there somewhere. Then one of Robin Hobb's books or series that is not in the realm of the Elderling series. So we have the Soldier Sun trilogy, Renegade Magic, which is book 3, we're going in the wrong order again, Forest Mage, which is book 2, and then Shaman's Crossing, which is book 1. So this one I will be starting after I finish the original Robin Hobb series, Realm of the Elderlings, of course. Then an older fantasy series that's, I think that it's adult maybe it's YA, don't really know. So The Queen of the Tearling, and then The Invasion of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. So this is book 1 and 2 of the Tearling series, of course. Book 3 I don't own yet. And this one I bought as a hardcover and I got as a paperback, because sometimes. Next up, Blackstone Heart by Michael R. Fletcher. I have read Michael R. Fletcher's Beyond Redemption series, the first and the second book, which are currently out. This one I want to read over the summer. Godblind by Anna Stevens, the first one in her trilogy, which I think is called the Godblind trilogy. I want to give this one a try because I haven't read enough female grimdark authors yet. We have The Empire's Ruin by Brian Staveley, which was one of my most anticipated releases of last year, and I haven't read it yet, which is a shame. I want to change that soon, but maybe I'm just going to wait until the second book comes out of that series. The Women's War by Jenna Glass, the first one in a trilogy, which is about women taking back power, if I'm not mistaken. I've heard some pretty great things about that. Then, again, some firsts in a series that I don't really know that much about anymore. An Illusion of Thieves by Kate Glass. I think that in this one, magic is prohibited in the world, and then we follow a girl whose brother used magic, and now they are in hiding. I still know some things. Then we have A Queen in Hiding by Sarah Kozlov. This is the first one in a quartet. It's called The Nine Realms, and this one I actually want to give a try quite soon, because it sounded intriguing. I don't know why anymore, but it did. The Mythic Realm, which is by a bunch of different authors, because this is a collection of short stories. And then a trilogy that I was going to read this year, I still hope that I can make it work, because that is the Wounded Kingdom trilogy by R.J. Barker, so Age of Assassins. Then we have Blood of Assassins, I think, yes, second book. And then we also have King of Assassins. So this trilogy is about, of course, an assassin apprentice and their master. The master is a woman, the apprentice is a boy, which I found quite interesting. I think that there's also an animal companion, so yay about that. Almost done with the fourth batch. Some Joe Abercrombie. So Sharp Ends, which I am going to read in July. And then we have A Little Hatred, which is the first book in the Age of Madness trilogy, which I am going to read in August. So, and then of course I still need to finish off this trilogy. And then The Night Watch by Sergei Lukyanenko. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this one. I got this from that friend that I talked about before. But what I have heard, people quite enjoyed. So I'm going to keep it on the TBR. I don't really have plans to read it anytime soon though. So that was the fourth batch. I honestly lost track of the batches, but I think that this is not the final one, but one before that. And I had to move the candle out of the side because we are going to need to use space. So first off, I have the Camphor Lillet trilogy. I don't really know how this is called. A Column of Fire is the last one. And then I also have Bridge to Heaven and Pillars of the Earth. Pillars of the Earth is the first one. These are the Dutch editions and they are absolutely massive. I think that both of these books are well over 1,000 pages. It is historical fiction, but I definitely want to read it because this is a period that I'm interested in. And I really liked the miniseries that was on TV, with Pillars of the Earth being the main influence. Then Habibi by Craig Thompson, which is on my July TBR, probably. And the only other non-book, which is book 4 of Vinland Saga, which is a manga series. Then, an entire series, Memory, Sorrow and Thorn by Ted Williams. So these are the Dutch editions. I got them very cheap, and I'm probably going to read these on e-reader anyway, so I didn't really mind. These are the Dutch editions. I don't know if I'm going to like it, but I think that this was the main influence for A Song of Ice and Fire, or so I've heard. So I think that I might like them. Then we have Lancelot by Giles Christian. This is King Arthur / Lancelot retelling with beautiful writing style, which I know because I have sampled the beginning. Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is the first one in a series. I don't know how the series is called. I don't know how long it will be, but the second one, Fevered Star, is already out. And then the Robin Hobb ones that I still need to read. So, of course, the first one that I still need to read is the fourth book in the Rainwild Chronicles, which is called Dragonblood, I think. I have these in Dutch, so I need to translate them. And then the final trilogy, the Fitz and the Fool trilogy. So here I have Fool's Assassin, if that's the right translation. Then, of course, we have Assassin's Fate, which I think is the last book in the entire series, and Fool's Secrets. And probably these titles are a little bit wrong. Then The Martian by Andy Weir, one of the few sci-fi books that I have on the TBR. And then, so I have a lot of Peter Hamilton books. This is a sci-fi author. I think that he writes hard sci-fi. I have 15 books or more that I was gifted by a friend. I'm definitely going to read them at some point, but I don't know what they are about, and I want to read some easier sci-fi first. So I have a lot of these, but I'm not going to show you all of them because I'm a little bit tired at this point. Then we have the Interview with the Vampire series by Anne Rice. I have the first three, which I think is the original trilogy. I plan to read at least the first book in October for Halloween and stuff like that. Then I also have, I think that this is the entire series, by Orson Scott Card, is that correct? The Ender's Game series. So again, this is more, I think that Ender's Game might be on my TBR soon, but the entire series, probably not. Then the last Juliette Merlier book that I have on my shelves that I still need to read, and that is Sybil's Secret. So the second one in the duology, and I really like the first one, so I hope that I can read this one, hopefully over summer at the very least. But the first one read like a fall book, so I don't really know if I'm going to wait maybe until fall, but the second one might be a summer book, so I don't know. Then we have 2 Terry Pratchett books, The Color of Magic, and then The Light Fantastic. So I am thinking that I will start with this one. I think that this is the second book in publication date, so I will go with the publication order for now, just because those are the ones that I have. So I'm first going to try those. Then Joanne M. Harris Rune Marks, which is a Norse myth retelling. And I love Norse myth retellings. I think that she's most well known for, how is it called? Something about Loki. The Gospel of Loki, which is in the same world. Then Children by Bjorn Larsen, which is the first book in the 10 Worlds cycle. So this is another Norse myth retelling that I'm very excited to pick up towards winter. Another myth retelling, but Greek myth, Daughters of Sparta by Claire Haywood, which follows Queen Helen and her sister. And then we have City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. I am going to start this series in July as well. So one that I will be reading quite soon. The final batch. So first of all, I have the entire Earth Children series by Jane M. All, which is a 6-book long series. It's historical fiction. It takes place in the Iron Age, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that it might have like a little bit of magic, but it's historical fiction by most. So these are the Dutch editions, of course. These are all of them. Again, I'm a little bit too lazy to pick all of them, but I have the entire set. Then we have a big set of series or big set of books. They are in one series or in 2 series maybe by Lynn Llewellyn. So this is part of the Night Runners series, and then I think that I also have a different one by her, which is set in the same world. So definitely a lot of books by Lynn Llewellyn. I read the first 3, and then I wasn't really convinced by the third one. A lot of people have said that the third one is atrocious, so please continue reading, but I just haven't yet. I need to start with Shadow's Return if I resume this series. And then the last book on my physical TBR that I still plan to read, and this was actually DNF a while ago, but I want to read it, and that is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This is a standalone. It has dragons. It's very big. It's very epic, and it's very long. It's, I think, almost 1,000 pages as well. No, 800. Not that long, but still. I found that it took a long while to get into it, but at the same time I was starting a lot of books. I was new to BookTube at that point, new to reading again, so I want to give it a fair chance. So those are all of the books on my physical TBR. I will put the number here. I'm going to count right now, and I'm probably going to be a little bit surprised that it's that high. Please let me know if you also have a very big physical TBR, or if you're smarter than me and you actually buy books, then read them, and then buy new ones. But I do hope that this video was a little bit entertaining, and see you next time. Bye!